So you can have it out. You can have it out because this is live streaming. We are up. This is live streaming.
Uh-huh.
We're sharing all
Right,
across,
right.
and it's happening at the same time as
Right.
we're talking.
I was
So
just gonna,
so you're gonna see things happening here that you don't normally see in a regular show. That's because you are now watching. All right, let me get my cup. You know how it goes, right? Coffee break with DTM, and there goes my cup of coffee. Let's start the show, y'all. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And we're gonna it's okay.
Okay.
You can check and tag people, share it. You're mostly gonna be talking, so there it is. Look, it's already up.
Is that what you?
Yeah, it's already. We talking. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Look at
Oh
you.
yeah. So we got our first watcher and already. And let's go. Let's do this. Thank you. Big ups to the people behind the scenes right now. We have Lauren and Stephanie, an awesome sister team. They are super talented. We'll tell you more about them. As a matter of fact, you need to go back and check some of these other coffee breaks with DTM, where I actually talked to Lauren. She does the comics, the webcomic Boxing Bugs. And then I talked to, in a different episode, I talked to Stephanie, and she's a web designer, super talented, building websites and online strategies for businesses. So yeah, there you go. That's my little plug for my people behind the scenes. Word up. All right, so remember, go ahead and get your cup of coffee, go get you some tea, take a break, walk away from your desk, sit in the coffee break by yourself and check out this awesome episode that we have today. We have an amazing, talented, super inspiring person here with us today. And let's go ahead to the big shot and say hello to Ann Sean Fields. How you doing?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I am good. And yourself?
I am good. First, I just have to thank you for bringing me on board and looking at this amazing space you have here. It's so awesome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. And you know, I'm looking at my picture, and it's like, oh man, I forgot my hat, I forgot my jacket. I'm just gonna go with it. So the set looks good, thank you. And I could have done a little bit better, but that's all right, because I'm a real person and I'm a real artist, and we're having a real time. Well, thank you for being here. I was very intrigued the moment that you contacted me, and of course we have common friends and well knowns like Yolanda of Dryer Buzz, and she knows everybody. Everybody knows her, and so anybody who's cool with Yolanda's cool with me, and but I'm always looking for that to find people who are of the same mind, where we're working with the community, we're building and inspiring others and stuff, and so that's what this space is for. You know, so I'm very happy that you're here.
Thank you.
So let's start with where are you from and what do you do?
So I am originally from Jersey City, New Jersey. Grew up, very hood.
All right.
My daughter likes to say she's hood, but one thing, when you come out of the struggle, you always want more for your kids. So she's very suburban. Never had a fight in her life, whereas I grew up fighting. So grew up very suburban, single mom. She had 2 children, and just watching her struggle. But what I loved about my mom was that she showed me the power of pulling yourself up. And so she had the 2 children. She had a GED, and she used the system at the time. She was on welfare. She used the system to go back to college, actually.
Nice.
And so when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I actually saw my mom graduate with her degree from Jersey City State College at the time in sociology. Yeah. So that was
She was a fighter.
She was a fighter. And she was like, nope, we need a change, and I'm going to help. I'm going to be a part of that change. So just watching her really showed me that, there's something strong and powerful inside of me that all I have to do is tap into, and I can pull myself out of that same situation. So
Right.
Had my daughter in my 20s, and was a single mom, and just never stopped working. Was always trying to go to the next level.
Yeah, no matter what.
No
That's right.
matter
No matter
what.
what. That's
Yeah,
right. Yes.
yeah.
That's awesome. So Jersey City is a real place, huh?
Jersey City is right outside of Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
Actually, what I loved about Jersey City is the fact that we're actually only 5 minutes away from Manhattan. So
Oh,
at
okay.
any time, I can jump through the Holland Tunnel, and I'm on Canal Street at any moment. So
Okay.
that's what I love about Jersey City, and sometimes I miss it. But right now, Atlanta is my home. So I've been here for about 5 years now.
Okay, and what brought you to Atlanta?
So my mom passed away in 2006, and during that time, I was going through some emotional problems. At the same time she passed away, I was downsized from my company. I had been working for Morgan Stanley at the time as a systems analyst for so many years, and as soon as she passed away from cancer, my dad then was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And just, really trying to hold it down in Jersey. Had no desire to come to Atlanta. But when his prostate cancer moved into stage 4, which was about 4 years ago, that's when I made the jump to Atlanta. He didn't want to come back to Jersey. He said it's too cold.
So he was living here already.
He was already living here. He has 3 other children that are here, and all his siblings are here. So it just made sense for me to make
spend some time.
Yeah, spend some time with him, and really take some of the weight off my siblings that were here, taking him to the doctor. So that's what landed me here. And maybe about a year and a half after me really relocating here, he then passed away from prostate cancer. So I just stayed. I just sold my house in Jersey and just never looked back. So I've been here. Yeah.
You still got a little bit of that accent?
I know. I hope I never lose it. Like, I don't want to lose my Jersey accent.
You doing? That's cool.
My friends laugh at me because when we really get to know, I'm like, "What's up, son?"
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, you from New York? You call people son? I was like, "Oh, okay, I forgot. I'm in Atlanta. They don't say son down here." But yeah, I love it.
We say shoddy. Yeah. That's cool. So let's go back in time. So that's what brought you here, and that's why you're here, and you're doing great things. So let's go back in time because you said that you were a system analyst for Morgan Stanley.
I was.
And
yes,
that means that you made some choices in school, and that led you to that kind of position. And I don't know if it's big money or not. I just know that it deals with responsibilities and brain power.
Yes.
And I always admire that in people. And so so let's talk about your coming up when you were a child, when you were in school. Do you recall any inspirational stuff, any creativity? What was that? What were you doing?
Sure. So I was always the outspoken, creative child. My sister's very introverted. I'm a complete extrovert. Like I talk to everybody. Everywhere I go, people love me. They want to be with me. They want to hang out. So that was always me coming up, which got me into a lot of trouble because I would talk all throughout the classroom time. Never wanted to shut up. Always had my hand up. But another side of me was that at the time when I was younger, I was in love with poetry, and so I would read everything and then just begin to write and journal everything. So I always knew I had a creative spark, and I also could draw a little bit at the time. So anytime I got bored, I would pick up the comics and just start drawing everything I saw in the comics. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was and drawing at the time was my little outlet, my frustration, not having the dad around, because back then my dad was a complete absentee dad. And so drawing was my little outlet, and poetry was my outlet, releasing those emotions and those feelings. So that was my first creative real spark. And I remember probably being around 10, just hearing this voice saying, one day you're going to write something. You're going to write something that's going to make a difference. And I didn't understand. I'm like, I'm not
yeah, that's
do
cool.
anything. Like, do you see where I'm growing up?
Right. You can take a look around.
Yeah, like look around. Even though my mom moved us into like a middle class, neighborhood, it was still rough, still tough. Going to school and everything, you have to have the best of everything. If you didn't, you're going to get picked on, which we didn't a lot of times, So we got picked on as a kid, which is why I used to fight a lot. In 5th grade, they actually kicked me out of 5th grade and were like, don't come back.
What? What?
Yes, I have
Rough.
a whole story. Then my mom upset, thinking she failed as a parent. So she shipped me off to Indianapolis for her brother to raise me, and got in trouble there, and he sent me back. And my mother navigating and negotiating me actually graduating from middle school. Like they just wanted to get me out of there.
Right.
And then she put me in private school, St. Mary's in Jersey City, which ultimately changed my life. It changed my life, my attitude. It changed my outlook. It was like the best. I thought it was torture at the time, like being around all these nuns. But it was the best thing my mother could have done for me because I was on the bad track.
They focused on you. They were able to focus on the positive and pull that out.
Let me tell you, Dan, them were some mean nuns. Like, I had a nun threaten to slap me. She was like, "You gotta behave."
She threatened. She didn't actually slap you.
No. But it scared me. I was like, "Oh, I can't mess with Sister Jackie." But it changed me. It really did. And probably maybe about 10 years after graduating from high school, I ran into her and I said, I thank you. And she recognized me. She was like, Aunt Shawn? I was like, yes. I said, you changed my life. And I said, I thank you for being so rough and tough on me. So it just changed the complete trajectory of where I was headed. And I probably could have done drugs. I did some drinking back in the day, but I never went severely into it. So she changed me, and I'm forever grateful.
Nice.
Still didn't go to college at the time. But
so what was on your mind? I don't want to speed through it because it's an awesome story. So you wrote for yourself. Something told you that you're gonna write something. You're in high school. You're finishing. You didn't go to college, but what was on your mind for your creativity or for your writing? What was going on?
So still really was thinking at the time, back then, I'm a 70s baby, so now we're like in the 80s, right? And I think I graduated from high school 1990 or something like that. So thinking like there's no money for the creative, there's no money in writing. I'm thinking, well, maybe I can do cartooning. I also was in love with hair at the time and wanted to go to school for hair.
And you're still in love with it.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
You picked up on that.
Hey, look. When you're about like this, you pay attention to people's heads all the time. Like,
you analyze
I'm jealous.
people.
Okay?
I'm still in love with hair
Awesome.
and makeup.
That's
Wanted to go
beautiful.
to school for it, and my mom was like, "No, there's no money in that."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she cut that off. So when I was in like my second year of high school, she actually sent me to technical school part time. And I went for data and word processing.
Okay.
And so that's what actually shifted me into the tech field. Because once I graduated, I landed my, I went to school for a minute, went to Fairleigh Dickinson for like a year, and couldn't afford it, and just not flunked out, but couldn't afford it, just never went back. And because my mother's philosophy was, you have to go to college the same way I did, which is the best way you can. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit at home. She was like, you can't sit at home.
Not when you're grown, adult, out of school. No, you can't.
Yeah, so she was like, you can't sit at home. But my sister, because she was such an introvert, she actually always got straight A's. She went to the best schools because of her grades. And she was a part of a program called, I think it was like Black Executives with Students or something like that.
Cool.
And so she was assigned this executive that worked for Prudential. And they had to do a lunch meeting. And my mom was like, hey, can you go with her because she's not going to talk. And went and just...
Oh, that's cool. Yes, that's great. Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
Just went,
I'm going to talk about that later on, but go ahead.
Just went, chatted this woman up, and she was like, so Angela, I now that you're out of college, what do you want to do? I was like, I need a job. And she was like, she was like, you need a job? She said, what are your skills? I said, well, I went to trade school for data and word processing. I said, I know Excel and Word and PowerPoint, all these different software applications. She said, let me make some phone calls. 2 weeks later, I was interviewing at Prudential.
Nice.
Yes. The sweetest person ever. I forgot she was the VP of something so many years ago. But and her best friend was the VP of Human Resources. So she slid me in, and next thing I know, I was working at Prudential. I started out as a service technician, which back in the day meant that, remember when they used to just put stuff on microfilm? So I was the one that would put the different applications that were coming to Prudential for life insurance on the microfilm.
You were down. What do you call it? Shrinking it down. Into microfilm.
Into microfilm.
What?
So and my title was service technician. So that's how I started at Prudential, making $15,000 a year.
All right.
Yeah, and so that got me on my way into corporate America. And back then, I had a lot of mentors because the African American women pulled me to the side and was like, "You're not going to embarrass us," because I was so ghetto, hood, sassy.
Real New York, real New Jersey, Jersey City, right?
Hyped up all the time. Don't say anything. You can't tell me. And it was like, calm down. You need some business etiquette.
Yep.
You need to learn how
soft skills.
Yeah, soft skills. You need to learn how to communicate better and really handle your emotions. You can't go from 0 to 100 just over the tiniest thing.
Yeah.
So they kind of mellowed me out and really helped me navigate my career within Prudential. And I stayed at Prudential for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to pause for a second because this is a lot. Okay,
know.
this is a lot of stuff right now that you just went through and mentioned a few things that are very important. Number one is the going with your sister because your mom said your sister ain't gonna talk because she's an introvert, but you're the extrovert, right? And we can tell because you find the words to say, right? And that's how we are. I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
And that's a real tool that you have to, if you're an introvert and you need to get out in the public, you need to partner up with somebody who's good at talking, who knows your whole story, who knows you. That's your backup. That's somebody. And they may not have all the solutions or the answers, but they at least can enable you to connect with people and make that opening up to the other person a little easier because you have someone who's breaking the ice, so to speak, right? Who's bringing it in. And so that's a real technique that we use all the time. My wife is an introvert. She likes being involved with kids and doing, she teaches kids how to program and build robots. She went to college and got degrees in engineering and so on. And so But when it comes to connecting, making new connections, and being out and talking about her work, she doesn't like doing that as much as actually doing the work. And so then that's when I come in. It's like, yeah, Buttercup Steam, and we're doing stuff and we're talking, and then she opens up and does what she needs to do, and so that technique is very real, and I just wanted to point that out. And then the other part is that the soft skills. We have to understand how to talk to people. And I used to watch The Sopranos, and the Soprano mama, one time she said, "I know how to talk to people," and she was real nasty when she said it. And it's like, that is not how you do it, though. And so it stuck with me, and it's like, you know what, that is some real thing, because when you talk to a person in a friendly way and you come off as someone who's smart, you can get something. You will get some results. Than when you demand something because you're old. Even if you're old in real life, you can come at people at the wrong moment in the wrong way, and because where we come from, where we're raised, there's a part of us that still carries on.
Yes,
and so when people see me walking down the street, and I mentioned acting, and I'll talk about it later, and they're like, "Oh man, there goes the bald head, mean looking Mexican. What's about to happen?" And so I had to put on the smile, the soft skills. Hey, how you doing? Everything's all right. And then you're able to cut past what people see and perceive you.
Yes.
And you have to if you want to succeed and build with people and work with others. So.
And that's very important, because what I was projecting was aggression, and people were like, "Oh, she's too aggressive," and it really wasn't that I was aggressive. And sometimes I was just overly confident when I probably shouldn't have been, because you're young, you're eager to please, and you're eager to prove yourself. And that's what I found myself doing when I first entered the corporate space. I wanted to just prove myself that I belong here. And so they just helped me to scale that confidence back and to turn the aggression and that passion into real skill sets. So that's what they helped me to do. And I'm like so grateful for them. So now in my private space now, I'm a project manager over software development teams, right?
Nice.
And so, there are a lot of millennials, so I help them funnel that passion and really articulate, not in an aggressive way, but in a real productive way, what they're trying to achieve.
Right.
Because I don't want them to make the same mistakes I made early going in.
That's right. Yeah. And that's real. Part of it is ego. Part of it is that we're eager, and we don't know how to act in public around other people. Your family knows you.
Yes.
Your mom knows you. Your siblings know you. Like, that's just how they are. And then they'll mean nothing by it, but not the rest of the world. And that's what we're trying to do: expand our reach and our people that we're touching. So that's good. That's good. All right. So now you're at Morgan Stanley, making the big bucks, $15,000 a year. You said. I know that when I was making $8 an hour in the '90s, I thought I was rich. In any case, so I can identify with that. Yeah. So what's going on now? You have a child.
Yes, I have a 20-year-old. Yes.
Yep,
a 20-year-old. She goes to the University of Southern California in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's going for film, cinematic arts. And as a matter of fact, this summer she has an internship at CBS, so we're very excited about that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so she wants to she's torn in between TV and movies, because she loves Shonda Rhimes. So that's like her idol. So she's torn between the two, and I'm like, look, do both. Just do whatever you want to do. Because for me, my life has been about experimenting. Yes. And I even tell my youth, you don't know what you love until you try it.
Right, so, exactly. And I was going to say, walk through the door that's open. Walk through that one, and then change your mind later if you want to. But hey, don't let that go.
Yeah.
Take
so we're
it.
excited about that. And I told her to try, because she's really good at editing film. But I said, don't, just because you're good at it, don't get stuck there. Try every aspect of film, especially since we're paying a lot of money for you to be there.
Right.
Try everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Anytime you can go into that technology cabinet and just grab a camera, take advantage of the technology that's out there. You have access to state-of-the-world labs. Take advantage of it, and really use it to cultivate your skills.
That's right. Yeah. And do your own thing. In the meantime, do your own thing. You don't know what's gonna happen. So all right. So you're in New York. You're working Morgan Stanley. I know you told us how you got to Atlanta. But when did the ministry come into play?
So
I kind of skipping, but go ahead. You already started with that, because I want to know about your playwright stuff and your author stuff.
I feel like my life is like so much. So downside. So let's put it this way: I was at Prudential 10 years. When I left Prudential, I was a procurement strategist.
Okay.
And got downsized, left there, went to Chase. And at the time, I was not spiritual. I did not grow up in a spiritual household and wanted absolutely nothing to do with God. I was very happy partying and having a good time.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I kept feeling this pull, like, you need to change, you need to do this. And my daughter was a part of that change because I had her and was still trying to party. And so now I call her my BC baby, my before Christ.
All right. That's cool.
That's what I call her. Because she used to ask me when she was smaller, how come you never had any more kids? I said, because you're my BC baby. I said, now that I know better, I do better.
Right.
And my whole goal was, I didn't want like a bunch of men running in and out of my house. My mom didn't do that with us. So I just focused in, to be honest with you, on raising her to make sure she had everything she needed and just working hard for it. So that meant some sacrifices in as far as like I said, I didn't go to college at the time. After I dropped out that 1 year, I just worked, and I just wanted her to have the best life. I wanted her to have more than me. So I had her around 27 or something like that. By the time I was 28, 29, I bought my first house because I grew up in apartments, and I was like, no, you're going to have a house and a backyard and everything. So I bought my first house and just really worked hard. And that, again, feeling this pull because my life was changing, and I didn't even know it. And I just kept hearing, you got to stop drinking, you got to stop partying, because I used to drop off at my mom's house and still go hang out in Manhattan.
Yeah, because it's just that Holland Tunnel.
Right. 10 o'clock, get dressed,
drive.
midnight, we're in Manhattan, we're partying until like 4 o'clock in the morning. And my mom kept complaining about it, and then finally she was like, it's not fair to your daughter, what you're doing. And really for me, I feel like it was God nudging me to get my life all the way right and put her into dance school and met these Christians. And I was like, oh my God, I said, everywhere I go, it's these Christians. What is going on here? And one invited me to church, and I only went just to shut her up, Dan. Like,
Right. I've done that. Yes, right. All right, I'm here now. That's it.
Yeah, like, okay, let me just go. Let me just shut her up. And let me tell you, the sermon was so moving. I could not stop crying. Like, for an hour, I'm just like, oh, no, this is me. And it literally, again, just started changing my life.
Yes.
And before I knew it, I just joined church. And my mom was like, it'll never stick. She was skeptical. She was like, it's not going to stick.
She's like, that's too extreme. Come bring it back.
Yeah, she was like, bring it back in. 'Cause I was like, I'm off men. I'm off alcohol. I was like, she was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. And it didn't for a minute. I went back because my biggest issue was my boyfriend. I was like, I gotta hold on to him, but eventually everything did change. And before I knew it, church really just stuck with me. And I'm so grateful that it did, because it wasn't too many years later that she was diagnosed with uterus cancer, and it was actually my church family that really supported us and would go to the hospital and pray for her. And
that backup.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I needed that, because being in New Jersey, we had no family. My mom was the only one in Jersey because she came through Jersey through Job Corps at the time.
Okay.
So that's how she landed there. Everyone else was in Detroit or Tennessee, where she was originally from. So we were the only ones there. So my church became my family. They really rallied and just helped me, through after her passing. So I really appreciated that. But as she was dealing with her illness, I actually had went and I remember telling one of the church mothers, I said, I've been in church for about a year or so now. I said, but I just keep feeling this power, something stronger. I said, I just want to know more about God, because I was like pretty much an atheist. Like my sister was an atheist before she started coming to my church now, and it was like didn't have any strong beliefs, and just really doubted everything. And I said, I just want to go deeper. And, do you think I should go to Bible college? And she was like, yeah, you should. And so that just immediately just the knowledge of the Bible. Because like I said, I always had a love for studying and researching. So this just took it even deeper. And before I knew it, I was evangelizing.
Nice.
And I felt like that was my calling. This is where God wanted me to be. And not just evangelizing, but I'm a builder. So I love to build things. Like drawing to me is building. Even like working now as a project manager and having my delivery teams build out features for applications. I'm a builder by trade, I feel. And so anytime somebody would tell tell me, like, if you said, hey, Aunt Sean, I have this vision for a ministry. I want you to come help me. I'm like, yeah, come
Let's
on.
go.
I got you.
Let's go.
Yeah, like, let's go. We got this.
Uh-huh.
And so I would just go around evangelizing and helping new pastors build their ministries. I'm like, oh, we got this. We're going to take this from 6 to 100
That's
in
right.
8 to 9 months, you know.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was it. But again, here comes God tapping me on my shoulder like, I got more for you.
Okay.
I have more for you. So what I didn't know was that was my training ground. Even, you know, the first time I was up in Yonkers helping a friend of mine build out his church. It just got downsized, very little money, just on faith, driving every weekend to Yonkers, helping him and his wife with his ministry. And he put me over the children's ministry. And I was like, oh, why would you do that? I got one kid. Like, I don't know how to, you know.
I only need 10 kids.
Yeah, I don't know how to work with, and it was like these bad, like, Bronx kids, like, you know. But it was like 20 of them, and every Sunday, loving on them. And so they would line up, and they all would come to hug me. They were like, we got to go hug evangelists. And I would hug on them, and I would always bring food and pastries for them. And they just really loved me, and I loved them back. And I remember I had this one little boy who really taught me the power of patience and working with kids. And he would terrorize the other children and hit them and all kinds of stuff. And I said, God, if I can break through to him, I can break through to any kid.
Yeah.
And one day something was going on, and I was hugging the other kids, and he said, but you forgot to hug me. And it just melted. It just melted my heart. And I said, come on, booby. And I just realized kids just need love.
Yes.
And so that's something I point to my ministry now. You know, God has given me families. I have a lot of, you know, young adults, and I just love on them. And every night when I pray, I want the best for them. I want God to show them what their vision and their purpose and their passions are so that they can reach the greatness that I believe they're called to do, because that's what I did with my daughter and even those babies that, you know, many years ago in Yonkers, praying over them every Sunday. I'm like, God, I just want you to show them who they truly are, you know, so that they can be that image.
Yeah.
You know, that was really my goal.
That's awesome. We got to
Yeah.
fill them with all the good things.
Yes.
So that then that becomes their life.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes. Because the world is going to pump in the bad
That's
things.
right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's
And
plenty
so-
of bad in the world.
Yeah,
There's
it's
lots of
plenty,
it.
yeah.
Yes.
That's why I tell people, when people come to church, they don't want to be beat up, or they want to be loved.
That's
Because when
right.
they step outside those doors, the world is going to beat them up and up. So my job is to spread love everywhere I go. Even on my job, I have one of my coworkers. She's Muslim. I love on her, and she tells me like, "I love you," you know, because I see past that.
That's right.
You know, she's like 25, and my goal is to see her fulfill her purpose.
That's right.
That is it. It's not about religion. It's not about race or anything. It's about your purpose. That's all I care about.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Man, we need
I
like
know.
5
I
more
know.
episodes
It's a
because it's a yes. And so let's touch a little bit on the author and playwright stuff. What happened there?
Yeah, sure. So while I was evangelizing, I was actually struggling in my, be honest with you, in my singleness. And I remember, you know, just wanting certain things from God, like, you know, which I think most Christian women, you know, just waiting for God to send them this husband and, you know, everything's going to be all right. But I was struggling really hard in my singleness, to be honest with you. And I remember throwing a tantrum. I'm a big baby, okay? So
All right.
I would throw a tantrum in a minute. Like, so I remember just throwing this tantrum with God, and was like, oh, I got saved at this time. It's been so many years. I still haven't met anybody. When am I going to get my husband? What is going on? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, I'm faithful. I'm this. And I was just naming everything I felt like I was doing right. And just sobbing like, oh my God, like, God, you got to do something. And right then and there, God just spoke to me and said, I want you to write about it. He said, I want you to write every bit of what you're going through. So from there, I got up and I wrote my first monologue, which was called The Frustrated Evangelist.
Okay.
And it dealt with the fact that all my sexual frustrations, I just laid it out on paper. And was like, this is what I'm going through. I'm tired of being just so many different things. And from there, God just began to monologue after monologue began to pour these stories out of me. And before I knew it, I had about 12 monologues.
Wow.
And I was helping a young pastor and his wife with a church up in Hackensack, New Jersey. And I said to my pastor, I said, you know, I have this notebook of monologues. And I said, I really think God is calling me to turn this into a play. And he was like, let's go for it.
Oh, wow.
And then so I'm a visionary, right? So when God gives me something, like, I'm going for broke. Now, I should say, at this time, I'm downsized from Morgan Stanley. So downsized from like my $70,000 job, no money. single mom, and which is why I was frustrated. But also, what I did at that time, I had enrolled in college.
Okay.
So I said, okay, guy, you're gonna do something great with me, one way or the other. So I enrolled in college for graphic designing.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
I was going to school for fine arts, focused on graphic designing, and so I had this vision. So I started doing these flyers and everything. And my pastor was like, "Anything you need, just let me know." So I was like, "Okay, I want to turn the church into a small, like black box theater." And when you walked in, you actually thought I blacked out all the windows. And he had a friend that worked for HBO, and so
Okay.
we brought in these theater curtains and the
Nice.
spotlight. I hired all my friends to be actors. I was like,
Yes.
you're gonna act, and you're gonna act, and you're gonna act. And one of my girlfriends actually was an actor / director. She loved to do like small productions, and I was like, I need you. And so she started actually practicing with everyone, getting them to learn their lines and helping me form the actual play. And before I knew it, I think that was like maybe June of 2010. I created the Virgin Mary monologues.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it was telling my story. So the Virgin Mary monologues, and it's all about love, sex, and the pursuit of marriage.
Okay.
And I always tell people it's adult content because it's about my issues. And but it goes through being a single woman in ministry. It goes through a lot of stories of people being divorced and feeling the shame of being divorced in ministry, how we treat them. It even goes through. I even wrote one recently when I was turning 40 called "Single and Saved," and how I was embracing turning 40 and still being single.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the monologues go through several different characters that I've seen within ministry. So I did that play, and I couldn't believe that it was going to be as successful as it was. And even when I came here to Atlanta, my first year here, I did it at the Academy Theater in Hateville.
Nice.
And we had a full house.
What? That's
Because
great.
women in ministry, it makes them laugh, it makes them cry, and most importantly, it makes them see themselves, and it lets them know that no matter where you're at right now, God loves you, and it's only temporary. It's going to get better from there.
That's
so
good.
that's what I wanted to leave with the women. And it's a play that I thought I would only do one time, but they won't let me put it down. Every time people see me, they're like, "When you going to do that play again? You're the woman that wrote that play."
People need to hear that message. I think that it's prevalent in any time you have a person who's passionate about something. And that so it leaves very little time for romanticizing
Yes.
and interacting with people
Yes.
with that in that level because you're giving it your all, and it took a long time for me just to focus on a relationship when I'm a full-time artist and really focus with my art. And unfortunately, I said this to my wife before, is that I'm married to my art first. And
What did she say?
she's okay with it because we've known each other for a long time before we got married, and then her brother's an artist, and that's how I met her. But that's like my first passion. I grew up as an artist. I've been an artist all my life, and so that is that one constant in my life that I can never let go. And I don't want to let go of my wife either, but that makes it very difficult to realize the potential in another person and see the other person connect with you while you're so passionate about something that is not them.
Yes.
And so big kudos to my wife, and she's awesome, and I love her. And anybody who's married to someone who's very passionate about something is very rough.
Yeah, because it's a struggle. Even now, I'm an empty nester now, so now I have nothing but time on my hands. But even trying to fit a relationship into it, that person would have to understand, like, my ministry is my passion, and then after my ministry, then I have my books, Like it's
so they down the line.
Right. So they would have to understand, like, and even like, I work with a bunch of millennials. They're always trying to get me online to do online dating. And I'm like, look, I don't like that swiping left and right, And one time I did it, and I think I swiped the wrong way. Next time I was like, oh, I didn't mean to like that. So for me, and I explained to them, it just right now, I want it, but it's not a priority.
Right.
And I think that's what makes a difference for me, pursuing my passion and my purpose, because I don't want to leave anything on the table. Looking at the lives of both my parents. My mom was a social worker for the Division of Youth and Family Services in Jersey for over 20 years, but her passion was baking, which is why I'm still chunky. So, because
We love good food.
she would bake all kinds of cakes and pies. And I remember before Dunkin' Donuts, my mom was making fried donuts and donut holes and, I mean, gingerbread houses. And one time she made an entire gingerbread village. That was her gift and her passion. And she always wanted her own bakery or restaurant, and she never did it. And then with my dad, he always wanted his own business. He always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Never did it. Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, no, I'm not leaving anything on the table. Like when I go, no resentment. I've done everything I've ever wanted to do, which is why I want to push my youth. Do it now while you're young. Don't wait until you're old, you know. And I push my daughter, like, do it now, you know. And so even for me, I'm still pushing myself. I'm like, okay, you still got some good years in you, you know. Yeah. You still got to go for the gusto and just really do it. I would rather try and fail than have never tried.
Right.
You know, so I just purpose is what I run after.
That's beautiful. That's great. I want to take a moment to talk about I want to take a moment to let you know that there is we're gonna be here another 10-15 minutes, so bear with us. This is an awesome story. I don't want to stop, but we can't be online forever. And I asked Ann Sean earlier, I said, do you have an hour in you? She's like, no, I don't know if I have an hour. I said, half an hour? She said, yeah. Well, we're past the half an hour.
We are,
and we ain't slow down, right? Okay, so I don't want nobody to leave yet. Stick around. We have a lot to cover. We will talk more a little bit about what you're doing now. But I want to take a moment to show you our studio. Yes. Because when you said something about not leaving anything on the table, and having access and walking through that door when you have that opportunity. You know, I've been live streaming for a while now, a few years. I think every time I get off live stream, Facebook will tell me, oh, this is live stream number 400 something. And I was like, whoa, it took me 400 tries to get better at it. And so I've been doing it for a long time. I've been working at it little by little, getting better and better. And so now, you know, Cinemakers open their doors. We get access to their space. We get access to their software. And so we're out here doing this thing that we like to do because we want to share. We want to inspire others. And we can come back to here to this camera now. And just like your monologues and the play, you have something that you're living that other people can identify with. And that's how I look at what I'm doing. Is that I'm living the art life. I'm focused in my career. I'm focused in making sure that I produce and create. And there's other people who have some of the same feelings and emotions that they're going through and their struggles with living a life, paying their bills, doing the things they need to do while still being creative. And so that's why I opened the door. Said, well, if I get opportunities, then I want others to have those opportunities and we can talk and share. And I'm like you, like I can go on and on all day. Let's go, let's talk.
Listen, I'm grateful because as soon as I DM'd you, you was like, yeah, come on then. And so I'm grateful for that because, you know, so often, you know, you don't find people that are willing to share and just and let you, you know, walk into their open door. So I thank you truly. And my youth, I'm sure, they thank you. Because
and I'm glad they're here.
Yeah,
yes, I'm glad they're here, even though you heard me monologue for a while. I'm glad you guys are here. We have a studio audience today. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the church. Because now you're in full ministry.
Yes.
Along with the list of things, and I like to see that play. Yes. And I like to record it, so somehow one day we'll talk about that when you're ready to jump back in. But yes, tell us about the church and what's going on. What did you decide to do now that you're in Atlanta?
Yeah, so now that I'm in Atlanta, first I was focused on getting my daughter off to college and you know, really wanted to send her off, you know, big and make sure she was secure. And then when she did that, she actually said to me, she said, you know, Mom, it's your turn, you know. And I was like, okay. So the first thing I did was I went house hunting. And because one thing I didn't want the struggle of, I have a lot of friends that are in ministry and they're struggling trying to pay their rent because a church plan is really hard. It's really your finances that are supporting the ministry, you know, your first couple of years, at least your first 5 years, you're supporting the ministry financially. And sending her off to USC was a big deal for us. And again, you know, I have a 2-year degree, so she'll be the first, you know, since my mom to have a 4-year degree. She graduates May 2020. We're so excited. Yes, we're excited about that. So once she left, I went house hunting and bought this house up in Ellenwood, and from there birthed out my church. So maybe right after I got the house up and running, one of my spiritual moms came down from Jersey. She was like, we're going to do this. So she helped me out. And I turned my living room into the sanctuary. So it is a dedicated sanctuary. It seats about 30 people.
Wow, that's a big living room.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought like a 3,000 square foot house. It's
nice.
Just me in the house. So everybody kept saying, well, why do you need 4 bedrooms or 3 baths? So listen, never ask God what he needs.
All right.
He knows.
Yeah.
He got a purpose for everything.
Make it happen.
Yeah, he makes it happen. So I took my living room, turned it into the sanctuary. It 24/7 set up as a sanctuary. I have a podium there, which is the pulpit, and we preach, we pray. We have prayer breakfasts in my house. I have a gigantic backyard in the process of redoing the deck so we could do some youth events out there. I love hip hop.
All right.
You know, I'm forever Biggie, Ja Rule, you name it. You know, I love it. So I'm trying to get them involved in gospel hip hop. They know secular hip hop. I started naming, you know, like Lecrae and The Truth. They're like, what? So trying to get them involved with that because that's my heart as well. If I could sing like the lovely ladies here, I would be a gospel artist, but God did not give me that, so I just preach my heart out.
Yeah.
And so the Worship Experience International Church, it is in Ellenwood in my house. So we meet on Saturdays actually, from 6 to 8, and I try to do like an hour service, and then we do an hour fellowship. Nice. And at my house, we throw down. I like to eat.
I like that, church.
Yeah, so
I like that.
The young men can tell us we're gonna have fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens. We don't have like, you know, some little snacks. At the end of every service, we have a full meal because I want them to be fed spiritually and naturally. So the only thing you have to do when you leave is go to bed.
Right. and spread the word. Do your works.
That's it.
That's
you
beautiful.
are full. So that's what we do every weekend. And, you know, I'm trying to empower them. I want them to take over some of the services. I want to empower my youth to go forward, you know, because, again, a part of their purpose is ministry. I know it, you know. And so if I can get them involved and really get the word in them, the Bible says if you train up a child in the way that they should go, it'll never depart. So I'm like, it's my job to train it, no matter where they are, whether like my daughter in L.A., if they go to London, if they go, you know, to Hawaii, that word will remain in them. So that is my job to make sure that word is deep inside of them. So I want to empower them, not just spiritually, but also in the natural. Like, you know, get access to technology. You're young, you know, use the technology. Like you said, the power is in your hand. You got that iPhone?
It's already right here. It's right here in one little machine.
That's it.
A long time ago, for us, the 1/10 of what this machine can do, that was a big computer like that.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. You know, I still have my little tapes from when I used to do video recordings. Remember that?
Yeah.
I still have some of those, you know. But now you just pick up this little phone, you can record everything.
Right.
You know, so just want to empower them and show them there's so many different options out there. You know, eventually I'll take them to my job where they can see we have people that are working, they're .NET developers working on APIs. We have iOS developers, Android developers, you know, and these are six-figure jobs, and that's my goal.
Right.
I want to see our kids come out of their current situations and get these six-figure jobs, you know. And I tell people I have 3 loves, and that's God, my daughter, and money. Those are my 3 loves.
That's right.
I'm telling you, don't mess with any of them.
That's right. Oh man, that money talk is. Don't get me started, but that's beautiful. That's great.
Yeah, because I believe in multiple streams of income.
That's right.
You know, and I tell them if one stream dries up, you have to have another stream that's producing you know, some money.
Yep.
You know, so I have, I'm a software developer. I have ministry. I have books. I have plays. I even have like a little jewelry line. So you have to keep those different streams coming in, you know. But what that does for me, I suffer from brand identity. Like, I don't know what I am sometimes. Like, it was like, well, what should I put? Pastor, author, play. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just, for me, I'm an entrepreneur. And,
right. Entrepreneur is good.
Yeah,
yes.
That is my passion. I have a new book that's out called Dream, which is step-by-step guide to achieving your goals because I love entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I got a copy for you.
Oh, good. I need that copy. I need it. Beautiful.
Yeah, because my thing is that I run into so many people that have so many excuses on why they can't be an entrepreneur.
Right.
They always say money. I'm like, no, money ain't your problem. You know, ideas is your problem. Creativity is your problem.
Yes.
Execution is your problem. Having the plan and the strategy, that's your problem.
Yes.
Because you, as you told our youth, use what you already have. And when you were saying that, I was like, that's what I have in my book.
Yeah.
You know, I call it key ingredients. God has already given you some key ingredients. You just have to tap into it to start building your business. Tap into the network you already have access to.
Listen to her, please. And Sean, you got the message. Everything you're saying
I'm
is
extrovert.
Oh my God.
I'm like
yes, but you're touching things in my heart now. And just as an example, you know, these are great, beautiful young men in here. But what I like to tell artists and creative people, and I say artists because I mostly talk to artists, but anybody, is that whatever energy you put into getting the shoes that you're wearing right now, they're not cheap. I know that, but I wear cheap shoes. You know, I bought 3 pairs of Adidas shoes for $100 while I was on vacation late last year.
That's what's up.
I shop cheap and stuff, so I don't get the latest. I'm not interested in that. But since there are other people who are, and when you say you don't need money, you need to start your business, you need to focus, you need to execute, you put in the same kind of energy and passion as it took to get those shoes. All right, that's it. Because it could take $100, $200 just to execute on something and see that grow.
Right.
You know,
right.
so that's it. Now, when you're talking about what it is that you have to do and how you have to focus and build, that is my thing. It's like, yes, because ideas come and go, but it's only those who actually execute on those ideas that are going to make it and get somewhere.
Yes. And don't be afraid of humble beginnings.
Right.
You know, so often people, start off small, and we don't realize, even the best people, Tyler Perry, he started off small, and he talks about how when he first started his place, 4 or 5 people would show up for, $1,000 seated theater, Don't be afraid. You have to just stick with it.
Yep.
When I started my church, it was 2 people showing up.
Right.
Sometimes just 1, and now if everyone shows up, it's like 25, 30 people,
Beautiful.
because I refuse. I said, God, if you give it to me, I won't give up on it.
Right.
Because your vision is greater than mine. And all he wants us is to be determined.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
Even my first book, I was like, okay, I don't have no idea how to put out any books. My first book was 30 Days, 30 Ways to Surrender to God. Had no idea how to get how to format the book. Had to find somebody to do my cover. Had no idea how to do all those things, and let alone start a business. I started my own publishing company, and God was just step by step. Google. I tell the young people, like, Google it. Before we had encyclopedias or now you just go to Google. It will tell you everything.
My God.
And just Googled my way through starting my own business.
Yeah.
I have an LLC. I have 2 other businesses that I have.
Yes.
And, just doing the research and allowing my small beginnings to really catapult me. And again, it's all about not giving up. So my ministry is it where I want it to be? No, but I'm not giving up on it.
That's right. There
Because
you
my
go.
goal is to move it out of my house into a storefront or to its own structure. So every day I'm online looking at it, like looking at buildings, commercial properties, and just putting that vision in my head.
Preparing yourself.
You got to prepare yourself.
Yes, that's right.
it.
Prepare yourself
Yeah.
so that you're ready to make that move when it happens and it shows up. That's right. Take
and
that
don't be
opportunity.
afraid to announce what you want.
That's right. Oh no, yeah, that's right.
So many people are like, oh, you
Tell
gotta
the world.
hold on. No, tell people like this is what I'm aiming
I
for.
know, yeah.
Because you never know who wants to help you aim
right.
for that and be that one that's going to
Yep.
push you through
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So announce what it is that you
Yeah,
want, so the universe can bring it to you.
Somebody's gonna repeat the words you said, and somebody who's actually can make that move be like, "What's going on here?" And then they're like, "Oh yeah, my friend said this."
Yes.
Well, where's your friend? Because I
Yes.
know it's exactly what you're talking about. Oh, this is beautiful. This is awesome. Let's go ahead and wind down a couple of things. We're gonna talk about your social media links.
Yes.
All right, and then I'm gonna ask you for one last question.
Sure.
Before we get into that, I do have one piece of feedback.
Okay.
When it comes to entrepreneurship and what you say, we don't know what you are because you have different things that you got
Yes,
going on, right?
yes.
And so I'm the same way. I do tattoos, I do graphic design, illustration, and so on. I do a ton of. I used to do websites. I started in the '90s doing websites, right? Because that was the thing. The internet was the thing, right?
Yes.
Now it's so normal and natural. It's like, you don't even know what it's like to not have the internet. But so what I do is that I mention those things that apply to whoever the audience is. I only mention that, right? So and I'm always looking at every interaction as an opportunity to connect with something. So even if it's not my customer and I know that I'm not trying to sell and pitch them, I'm only going to mention those things that are relatable.
Gotcha. Yes.
So you only mention that, and that means that you may need to have different business cards for
Yes,
different situations.
Yes. I'm glad you said that. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
Yes.
and along with that, I have different websites for those different things. So when someone's talking to me, and you have a tattoo, and I'm talking to a person about tattoo, I don't send them to my general website or my illustration website or my nonprofit website. I send them to the tattoo website because now we have something in common, and I know they might become a customer. But if I'm talking to corporate, I don't send them to my tattoo website because then they'll be like, I'm already trying to get past you being Mexican and crazy, so don't give me any extra stuff,
Right,
because it diverts attention and so on, and you want them to stay focused on the message and the purpose. So that's my advice to you.
That's good
Just a little
advice.
bit of
Thank you.
feedback.
Yes, yes.
Think about it, try it. There's many ways to build websites and very cheaply, or and then we have an awesome web designer here in the house. You might want to connect with. But the idea is that follow, continue to expand, build, and and the multiple streams of income is real. Is real when it comes to tattoos. Like right now, they're starting to pick up because it's spring. People are taking off their sweaters, their jackets, and now everybody wants to show off the skin. So now it's like, Dan, when are you available? Dan this, Dan that, tattoo. But then in the winter, it's really dead.
Yes,
So there's an ebb and flow to all types of businesses and the things that we do, and so we have to build different streams of income, build different ideas that we are passionate about, and execute and have a process and say, how can I take this from one idea to a full business so I can make money and doing stuff. And there's nothing wrong with talking about money because that's the currency we use to pay for our bills, right? So somebody may offer me exposure, but I can't go grab that exposure and say, well, here's my rent.
Right.
You need actual cash money. And so the moment that you decide that you want to pay your bills with this talent that you have, that's the moment when now that passion conversation includes, well, how much I need to charge for that. So then that takes care of those that income. So any case, everything you're saying, I'm just reiterating, saying it in my words, because it's awesome and I love it.
It's great, but I like what you said. So often in our community, especially, people are afraid to talk about money. But you have to. Money is real. And I tell my church, I can't go down to Georgia Power speaking tongues and my life stay on.
Right.
No, they want to see some currency. That's just the realness of it, or else we're going to be sitting in the dark. So we have to have those conversations, even on the job with salary negotiations.
That's right.
People have to know how to negotiate salaries.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you will be on the lower scale of the salary. Now we're going to be on the high scale of the salary, and it ties into know what you're worth.
That's right.
Like you were saying with your art, you have to know what your art is worth.
That's right.
So when somebody asks, hey, I love that, you know already, okay, it's going to cost $10,000 to get that piece.
That's right.
You have to know it, and don't lowball yourself because the world will.
That's right. The world will. Right. Yes. Don't do it to yourself.
Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it.
Get ready to stand up for yourself. That's awesome. This is beautiful. Okay. All right. So let's go into social medias. Where do we find you?
Yes. So you can find me I'm always on. I try to always be on. I told you I have an issue with consistency. I try to always be on Instagram at I am Anshawn on IG. And then you can find me on Facebook. I have like 3 Facebook pages, and it's just Anshawn Fields on Facebook.
Okay.
And then you go to AnshawnFields.com.
Okay, and that's where we can find all the links to everything else.
You can find all the links on AnshawnFields.com.
AnshawnFields.com. That's beautiful. That's great.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. And how'd you end up with a name like that?
Anshawn, yeah, I don't know, why my mom named me that. Someone just asked me that recently, and I used to hate my name, to be honest with you, because it's A-N space S-E-A-N, and people would call me Ann or Ancine or Jessine, and now I love it because I find it's really easy to pronounce compared to some of the new names that are out today. So
it's very unique.
It's unique.
What's your sister's name?
Parrish.
So she had a pretty normal name.
I think it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
And then
for a girl though, it's not common, but
it's not common.
But it's still normal. Okay.
Yeah, I think my mom just wanted something unique. So I'm Anshawn Deshay. So that's what she named me. Yeah. Go figure.
Beautiful, but it's very easy to remember and recognize. So that's awesome.
And that's what I love about it, because once you have it in your head, you can't forget.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. So AnshawnFields.com, and then all the social medias are there because I'm sure you have a Facebook page for all the different things that you're doing.
I don't, but now I'm going to have to.
Now you're going to have to, yes, that's right. Yes. That's where you can start before you build a website.
Yes.
Build that community, build those connections.
Yes.
And that's good. That's good. See, that's why we're here. That's why we get big brains together. So if you could speak to Anshawn Fields of the Manhattan job when you're starting to go to church. All right. What could you tell her? What would you tell her?
Yeah, one thing, if I could talk to that Anshawn, I would let her know it's going to work out. Don't be nervous. Don't be scared. It's all going to work out for your good. Because I was nervous back then. I was scared. I didn't know what my future looked like. And so I want her to know that God's got you. And it's going to be okay. You're going to make it.
Beautiful.
And that's what I want the youth to know. It's going to work out. Everybody has a struggle. Life would not be life without some type of struggle. And in the midst of your struggle is where you find your power. And I found my power in my struggle. And your power brings forth your passion and your purpose. So she's going to be all right. I'm okay. And if I think about myself 5 years from now, I'm like, girl, you got this.
Yes.
You got this.
That's right.
Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. You got this.
Awesome.
Yeah, just full speed ahead.
That's good.
Yes.
I love it. Let's go ahead and say goodbye. Let's get you over here. This is DTM. This was Coffee Break with DeltaTangoMike. Here is my cup of coffee. I think it's time for a refill. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for sharing and listening to this amazing story I love it. You're gonna see more of her because I want to work with her. I want to work with people who are doing things and making things happen for the betterment of our world using the talents that we already have. This is good. I love it. Thank you very much. Coffee Break with DTM. Follow on the social medias, DeltaTangoMike. Don't forget ArtistKing_ATL. There's a lot of good things happening in Atlanta, so go ahead and check me out and connect. Let me see your work. Let's talk about it. See you next time. Thank you very much. Peace.